So Alexia Anastasio, welcome to the show. Entrepreneurial leadership, financial strategies, entrepreneurial and visionary kind of arena there. So tell me a little bit more about what you do, what you've been up to.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. My background is in film. I've had over 20 years, depending on when you watch this.
Mm-hmm.
I've produced 9, I've directed 5 independent feature films. My most notable is about an Oscar-nominated animator named Bill Plimpton. And the underlying theme underneath my work is inspiring others to live the art life. So I do that in many different arenas, many different industries. At the moment, I call it my day business is in the finance world, where I teach others about how money works, how it can work for them, how to run a business. Also, in the marketing world, I help others who have businesses to market them in a better way, especially when they're frustrated. They're like, hey, I have this service or product and I want to get it out into the world. I'm like, okay, well, how about we, partnership, or how about, we do more with social media, or how about when we brainstorming, I feel like is one of my superpowers. But one of my ultimate goals is to open up with my partner a number of physical energy healing centers for families and artists.
Your biggest superpower is that question, how about ... Mm-hmm. Like that's a big thing. That's the thing that has kept me moving, experimenting, being creative. It's how about ... And
exactly.
For lack of a better word, like trying to experiment and trying to throw a wrench into my own works on purpose to see, for example, with this podcast, this is our 3rd try. How about if we just didn't give a shit and just chatted with people? Like I do film, and one of my colleagues is an actor and a musician and like a financial stock investment guy. The other one's an actor and a musician and a fitness guy. So how about we just talk? We're pro wrestling fans, and all of a sudden, and what's funny is we've always talked about pro wrestling, and all of a sudden A&E is doing redoing a bunch of bios on wrestlers, and Vice is doing a whole hit show right now, Dark Side of the Ring. And so we just said, how about we just talk about what we like and not give a shit about the trends, not give a shit about trying to match trends or follow trends, but just do whatever we just talk about whatever we want. And lo and behold, Vice is killing it with Dark Side of the Ring. A&E is doing a whole new bio on wrestlers. And so, like you're saying, how about we ... And that's the that's the creative superpower, is that question, or is that statement, how about ...
Yeah, absolutely. It's creating solutions when you don't have one at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
and not thinking of it like, okay, I've hit this ceiling. Like, no, there is no ceiling, so let's get through it, but let's get through it together by moving some parts around. And thankfully, I found transcendental meditation about 11 years ago. And that helped me, one, prioritize my creative goals, and two, kind of opened me up to like letting things go and then letting things come in.
Mm-hmm.
And letting it be like, okay, oh, geez, like this, I'm not stuck here. You know, there's a workaround. Last year was a pandemic. I want to get out some ideas and some people, and we're like, okay, let's do some benefit events. All right, what's the theme going to be? Well, what's really prevalent right now? Well, mental freaking health awareness. You know, so we did a number of mental health awareness events. We got a couple of nonprofits we were working with, including Hope of the Valley, which is the biggest homeless outreach nonprofit in the Valley. Pain to Power, which is energy healing nonprofit, and also Dare to Dream, which is run by a former Harlem Globetrotter lefty, and he, you know, it's all about basketball and giving kids like a chance to like grow their confidence, and so we got them all together and said like, okay, let's do some events. And where were we going to do an event where you can't even like throw a birthday party?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, you know, farmers markets are open. You know, let me literally put some calls out. Where's the closest farmers market? And it was Toluca Lake, California, and Toluca Lake is a great area. I love it, and they were so freaking nice. And they're like, yeah, come on down. Okay, we'll take 3 booths. Thank you very much. And now we started doing music there and having musicians perform there. And we literally took it of like, hey, that's our backyard. You know, like I don't run the farmers market, but they were a platform that we were able to use. Like I don't own Facebook, but they are a platform.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're all helping Facebook. We don't even realize it.
I don't own fix-it screwdrivers, but I use it, and it fixes my camera, which then enables me to shoot my camera. You know, there's these tools out there to utilize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And exactly. And these platforms, and we are each other's platforms. Like right now, I'm on your platform, right? You've created a platform to help people.
Oh, at least bore somebody on YouTube. I mean, like to
either one.
Yeah. But you hit the nail on the head, where you said there's no ceiling. And when I think of, you know, going up or going left or right, back to film, Copland with Stallone was a huge I was in high school. Everybody, you know, kind of boxed Stallone in with you know, Rambo and Rocky. And then he did this movie Copland, where he played like this out of shape, down and out cop, local sheriff of this local crappy little New Jersey police department. But Ray Liotta in that movie said, go diagonal. If you're trying to chase this guy, don't run red lights and put on the cherries and cause a traffic jam. Go diagonal. You bust a right and then bust a left, and then a left, then a right, then a right, then a left. Go diagonal. And that always stuck out to me as far as, you know, trying to chase something down. And then, well, what are you trying to chase down? And there's that goal, and there's that shit, man. Quarantine has boxed us in, but there is this workaround. There's always a workaround, and it's 2020. And that was, and me and my colleagues are always saying like, hey, it's 2020, man. You know, there's FaceTime, there's Google Hangouts, there's computers, there's iPhones, you know, and my buddy's like, you know, every idiot has a smartphone. And I'm like, yeah, man. And every idiot's on YouTube making more money than we are right now. And we're more talented, we're more creative, but every idiot out there with a smartphone is making them smarter than us. And you got to take that into like this diagonal, you know, bust the roof off this thing and go diagonal. And a freaking farmer's market for media events and birthday parties, and like I never would have thought of that. That's the first time I ever heard of farmers markets for etc. And
They're
that
free.
blows me away.
Yeah, and they're freaking great. But the most important thing, it's, you know, because not every farmers market is created equal, but
Yeah.
the people that run the Toluca Lake Farmers Market, we just happen to find some beautiful people running that market, and it was just aligned. And so you want to find aligned partners, and when you're doing things like meditation or like drawing or your film or whatever lights you up, then you then vibrate on a higher vibration, and then you attract your aligned partners kind of to you, or the idea to you, and then it just comes. You're like, because that could have been a great idea, but then, you know, the people at the farmers market could have been like, you know, horrible people, and you're like, oh, I guess that wasn't a great idea. You're like, well, you don't have control of that. But then you try the next one.
Exactly. But listen, see, for me, it was okay. I got an acting job on this film, but then I figured out they're okay with me shooting stuff on my iPhone. And so now I'm shooting a separate thing. So now here you are doing this one thing through this farmer's market. You're doing the convention, but then you shoot a BTS and you film how much of a cluster this might be, or the BTS you film how much of how much of a success. So you've got two components. You've got two products out of the one thing. And me and my colleagues have been doing this way before quarantine, and now it's really just an opportunity to really exploit doing 5 different things out of one thing. You know, it's, for example, you take that farmer's market, you've got a couple of events, but if you were to record the audio of that DJ doing a live mix and you do a live stream of just that DJ at the farmer's market, then you've got that Twitch, that live stream of that DJ, you know, DJ Mouse or whatever, doing that thing. And then you're selling some product, and you've got a birthday, and you've satisfied the client. Say you did this birthday thing for a client, that family event, and you make some money off of that thing. But then you shoot a BTS for your other YouTube channel of a more of a big thing, and now you got 3 or 4 different things out of just, you got booked to host a birthday party for a kid at a farmer's market.
Exactly. And you never know what comes of things. Like already, Lefty had somebody come to the farmer's market that he met on Instagram, and that I got to meet her too. And then I had her audition for me. Now she's going to be one of the leads in my film that I'm shooting in December. She's excited. I then connected her with an agent. Now she has an agent, and I have somebody freaking amazing, which is hard to find amazing talent. That's like one of the hardest things. But when you do, you're like, okay, I'm holding on to this. You know, this is amazing. Now, what's the next thing? I book a magician, you know, for the farmer's market. Then they get another show, you know, and look, the list goes on.
And think about farmers markets now. You've got local produce, you got local breweries. Now you've got Loose Cannon sponsoring or whatever, right? You're out of Maryland or Virginia or DC or
Los Angeles.
Oh, you're all the way over there. Okay, that's right. I knew that.
But I'm originally from New York.
So New York. So you got New York. So you got oh gosh, Goose Island. Well, whatever. But anyway, you got like a local brewery. Well, that's now sponsoring, saying, "Hey, we're going to jump on these events."
Yeah.
And now you got a sponsor because you were at this local farmers market, and they saw that and they say, "Hey, we're going to jump on this. We'll sponsor your next couple of events." And now you're not paying anything out of pocket. You're getting upfront, probably plus, you know. But think about the side things that you're doing, and you're going to take some ad share. You're going to take some revenue of some other sub side share.
Yeah, but the main thing, you're moving parts at the end of the day. And if you're not moving parts, then that's when you're stuck. So
Yeah.
that's the main thing, is just going out there and like doing good. And then things just come to you. You're like, oh, wait a minute. And that's where I look for the signs. You're like, oh, you know, even starting my marketing agency, I didn't say, oh, you know, like I'm gonna just do this. I'm like, no. I'm like, I met somebody who was finishing up her marketing degree, and I'm like, you know what? I've had a lot of marketing clients in the past, but I just wasn't doing it anymore. But it's definitely one of my genius zones. I'm like, you know what? I need to help this girl. She needs to get paid, you know, like absolutely. I'm going to help her get paid. But you know what? She's going to need my help and I need her help. Let's partner up. Let's start a marketing agency. So we decided to partner up and start collaboration marketing agency. Done. Now we have clients we'll work with. And then, you know, and then that, you know, springboards. But that's because I always want to be moving parts to get to the next thing. And that's what helping other people helps you get to your next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and to touch upon that, you know, greedy people don't make money because nobody will sign up with them because their percentage is too high, their take back is too high. But smart people and creative people will take half of that and work with twice as many people, because not only that, but they love what they're getting tapped into. They love what they're getting in their hands dirty with. They love what they're getting what they're stepping into, what they're getting their feet into. And next thing you know, it's just this big, you know, vicious snowball cycle that you're stuck into, and you've got so many clients and there's so much creativity, and then you got to hire a team, and then you have that huge conglomerate of your own based on passion and not greed. And that's where some folks succeed and some folks fail. I mean, there's a lot of greedy folks that have succeeded, but and then at the end of the day, their name's besmirched and they have a bad rap, and so on and so forth. But it is you're on the, you know, what you're discussing is this track of giving a shit, actually caring, and jumping into something that you love. And whether you're charging one thing or another, it's just you're jumping into something that you love, and you're making these parts move. And again, like I said, smart people succeed, greedy people fail, and smart people make money. And it's like, listen, I have 10 times as many people as you do that want to work with me because I love this, so I charge them 10 times less. Then that's going to bring 10 times more, and then 10 times more, and then 10 times more. And to me, it doesn't feel like I'm working my ass off because I love to do it. It doesn't bother me that I'm managing so many people as opposed to you, but you charge 25 and I charge 5, but I'm repping more people, but I'm not losing clients.
Exactly. And that's why you want to attract the aligned clients. And sometimes you have to have those hard conversations where you're like, hey, actually, this is not who I want to work with. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm. That's the biggest discipline, is turning work down or cutting ties with people. Well, during COVID, you know, me and the wife, our kid was 6 months or up to a year. Our kid was, and I had to turn work down. So I said, okay, but what work I can take is remote and virtual work. So let me make that remote and virtual work account for something in the long run. But damn, I'm not ready to be on set yet. And then me and the wife eventually, both me and the wife got fully vaccinated. Well, I was the first one to get the first shot, and then we all got COVID anyway. So the kid and the wife and me got COVID. We both survived it. We got through it. My kid's the toughest son of a bitch ever, so he rocked it out. And then I got fully vaccinated. The wife got fully vaccinated. We can't wait to get him fully vaccinated. But fast forward, now it's like, okay, now I can take these gigs because I'm willing to I'm willing to do that, and then da 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 da. But before then, it was I can't take any on-set gigs. But as things progress, I became a licensed COVID compliance officer. Never worked a single gig as a CCO, but I got that license and I was working on those. I was trying to work on booking those gigs, but I was doing other things as well. And that's the discipline. That's the sacrifice for the art, is to not take some of the work, because this really has to be worth it for me to take it. And then next thing you know, you wake up, you're fully vaccinated, and you're ready to just get back on set. And it was a tricky process to like discern what was worth it and what wasn't. But yeah.
Yeah, for me, when I have conversations of like, oh yay, how are you doing? A lot of people say like, oh, it's a pandemic. And I'm like, for me, and I don't say this is for everybody, but for me, it's been a blessing moment because
Yeah.
one, I got to go inside, not just myself, but literally inside a building, like we're inside. But I had birth to my daughter, Sunshine, and I found love. I had a daughter. I didn't have to go to the office anymore. My work went from being at an event practically every single freaking day. Did some sort of different time. Either I was hosting it or it was being hosted by my work, or I was at a training and like every day. And I'm like, this is not sustainable. And literally the world was just like flipped on its head. And now I'm like, okay, everything is online now. I'm like, this is freaking great.
Yeah.
I just gained an hour and a half a day, by not having to travel.
Oh my God, the travel, the
Yeah,
commute.
I'm more focused because I don't have anybody, co-working is great. It's motivating, but to a point. We are, I think all companies have realized they get their people they work with are more efficient when they have a space that they feel serene in. So I'm, so much good has happened. I started painting again, like just these huge things. I started walking again. These little things, but they're huge, like huge. Like having a baby is kind of huge, right? And I didn't even know I wanted, a baby. And now Sunshine's in my life, and I just don't. I can't even remember, like what was, life without Sunshine, and it's just so, yeah, blessings come when you're moving those parts, even though I'm like, okay, it was great, but it wasn't sustainable, but it was working at the time. What is better?
Yeah. So
Right?
what year was Sunshine born?
Last year, so December 5th, 2020. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
20,
So
20.
6 months old now, 7 months old now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, I mean, that was a struggle. We brought Gabriel home March 5th, 2020. And a week later, she was calling me up like, you gotta jump off this gig and you gotta go get a whole bunch of toilet paper and hand sanitizer and get to this house now because we're buckling down. The toilet paper days, the hand sanitizer days. And so, oh God, I don't want to get too emotional, but I want to say me and the wife, we took Gabriel to a bar and they had the outdoor seating, and there was a whole bunch of people out there, and everything was social distance, but he was just looking at people and waving. And it really hit us that he was seeing new people and he was really excited to engage with these strangers, all these different people that were at this restaurant. And it was like, wow, you know, we're a year through it. He's a year old, and he had to like just go through nothing but me and the grandparents and the aunt and one aunt and uncle. And it was just, everything was in the house. And there were times where, you know, the National Guard called me up, and I had to leave for a week or two here and a week or two there, because the whole last year was just a nightmare, National Guard wise. But, you know, be home, and it was just 24/7 hands on. So now that I'm at this gig, you know, overseas, I'm on this gig, and I missed him actually walking. I saw everything. I saw coos turning into babbling, turning into chattering, turning into like a word. And I saw his you know, belly time turn into sort of crawling, to into legit crawling, to him pulling himself up, to him using a walker to walk. And then I saw his like legit walking on FaceTime and, you know, recorded video. But to look back on that and say like, oh man, I missed his first steps. I really didn't, because I saw so much micro progression in the span of a year because of COVID, because we were all home 24/7 for a year. I saw so much micro progression that I'm able to say that's okay, that I missed the legit him standing up and taking 4 steps and then flopping to crawling again, because those were the legit him walking. That's okay, because I saw the a whole year of nonstop micro progression.
Exactly. And that's abundance at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that time. And, you know, there's that fear that if I'm on this gig for so long, that, because I did this one other thing and I was gone for a month, and it took him a day to get reacclimated to me being, oh yeah, that's my dad again, when I came back. So if it's a month, if I'm gone for a month and it takes a day, that if I'm gone for, you know, 7 months, it's going to take him 7 days, maybe less, to get reacclimated. But he's still at that age where it's like, okay, by the time he's 3.5, he won't remember anything. So it'll take him like, you know, a week, he'll get used to me, and then it'll be back to normal. And I'm not too worried about his memory, because shit, I can't remember anything before I was in kindergarten. I really can't remember anything before I was in kindergarten. So I don't think that's going to be a major setback at all. No daddy issues. I'm really trying to shoot against daddy issues. That's my whole thing.
She's good.
Okay. Gotta be careful, the kid. Yeah. So you're in LA. So let me see, like, what do I pick up with LA? I mean, are you fully vaccinated?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm once she hit 6 months, then, you know, I'll be past breastfeeding, and then I'm going to go get vaccinated.
Okay.
But yeah, but her dad is fully vaccinated.
Awesome. So have you been back on set? You've been back on location? You've been back out in the arena of the work?
Pretty much. I did I was on set, a COVID set, right before I gave birth. So there was, you know, the coordinator and all. I had to get tested beforehand and all that jazz. And then I've gone to a work party, and I've gone to the farmer's market, you know, just all with the mask and all that jazz. So one thing also that helped was just like the mentality of like, wearing a triple protection bubble. Also, I'm mostly inside, so.
Yeah. No, even before COVID, I was working on that work from home life. I'm lazy. See, I'm smart enough and I work hard enough to know that I'm lazy enough to where I want to be at in life, to where I can just work from home, because I'm lazy as fuck. But I want to be able to work from home. But I was on set and learning all these different things and grinding and making networks. And then it was like, okay, we're going to get to this point. Even if I'm not working from home, I'll go to this one site and I'll do live streaming and I'll run everything from there. And then we can have LA, we can have New York, we can have Chicago, blah, 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 all tapped into this one location that's like, a 10-minute drive from my house. If not, I can route that, I can remote that to my house. And then, but I did all that stuff then, to where when this happened, I was able to do that from my house. And I was like, okay, just jump on Zoom. I got the premium package. All you gotta do is dial in, click the link, and we'll make it happen. And it worked. And there's that blessed, being blessed, or the hindsight, or I don't know, just the hustle of just the hustle and experience of this, that, and the other thing. And it miraculously paid off on a different levels. But out in LA, there's a lot of criticism with LA and California. How are the guidelines now? What's the work life? What's the on-set life? The guidelines out there?
Well, I mean, the main thing is like everything's opening back up. We'll be fully open back up June 15th. And productions, I mean, especially the bigger productions, are getting back to work. And also influencers they still have to create content. So those are the people who are working and are getting things out, and they're just, being careful and going by all the rules that we have at the moment.
And that's what's killing it. Like the influencers, not even like Hollywood, it's the influencers.
It's both.
Yeah. And it's the independence, and it's those that thought outside the box, because everyone was shitting on podcasters and YouTubers. And it seems like there was a movie that just came out mainstream with Andrew Garfield and Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter, Maya Hawke, and Andrew Garfield and a number of other folks. But it's about, they find Andrew Garfield. He's a homeless dude. They put him on YouTube because of the stuff he talks about, and it goes, but it's such a dark, scab peeling, introspective film on YouTubers and what they're trying to do, and why they want to do it, for likes and that and the other thing. But it really goes to show that a movie about YouTubers is continuing to influence YouTubers and influencers. And I don't know, I'm probably not wording it right, but
no, you are, and that's exactly why you want to kind of dive in on why you're doing what you're doing and your intention, because that shines through everything you do. That's what they say, like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Believe that.
Yeah. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Like, I went to college and I stuck with film and TV production in college, and I graduated, and it was like, okay, I have to work on something independent. I have to work on something that I wrote, that I came up with. But then I was not constantly doing music videos for the artists. I was working at Discovery Channel. I broke out full-time freelance. I was ADing this film and that film, and the other film. And me and a bunch of colleagues were like, we still have to do a couple of music videos of our own. We have to come up with some sort of web series. YouTube, see, the beauty of it is that I graduated in 2005 and YouTube blew up in 2006. So we said, YouTube is the one and only. That's going to be our distributor web series. And as things progressed, it was, I think in 2019, we came up with a web series that was like those ID crime shows, you know, like Who Killed Jane Doe, Evil Stepmothers, whatever, those ID crime shows. But we did one set in the DC universe and one set in the Marvel universe. Imagine Bruce Wayne goes home, has a cocktail, takes off the cape and cowl. Bruce Wayne goes home, has a cocktail, and watches ID. What would be on ID? So we figured out, here's a show for DC universe, and here's a show for Marvel universe, shot, produced, edited, just like those ID crime shows. So we were doing that, and then quarantine happens, and all production is like halted. It's like, okay, we still have to stay active somehow. I didn't think I was going to get all the live streaming stuff I did. Let's try for a third time at the podcast, because what else are we doing? We're sitting here. If I'm going to sit here and talk to you on my phone, I might as well get you on a Zoom and we record it. Just keep in mind we're being recorded. So be careful what we say. But if you're willing to have that on the YouTubes, let's just make our normal shit talking be a podcast on YouTube, and then it kind of progress from there as the third try. So like you said, it's just you just said how you do one thing is just keep it going. Is you have to stay active within that thing that it is that you want to do.
Mhm.
I'm botching explaining it. I'm probably
No,
sounding like a
you
raving
absolutely that absolutely got it.
good.
And
Thanks.
for
I'm glad.
for me, I realized with my films is, you know, all of it, the underlying theme was inspiring others to live the art life. So when other opportunities came along, I'm like, well, is this inspiring others to live the art life? Is this one of the answers? This is an answer. And if it was, I'm like, wow, yes, this is a yes for me. It didn't have to be like, oh, this has to be a film. Like, oh, this is not acrylic. You know, like, you know, or you know, because you can box yourself in like, hey,
Yes.
I'm only one thing. But a creative life is lots of things.
And you know, the summer of 2019, a Netflix series came out called Black Summer. I think it's called Black Summer, and it's a zombie show on Netflix. It's a zombie show, and every episode was drastically different in its runtime. And this is pre-COVID. This is height of Netflix, obviously, but this is pre-COVID. And they were spitting out episodes. One episode was 15 minutes, another one was 45, another one was 20, another one was 30. And me and my wife were watching this, like, we love the show, but this is throwing us off on our night. Like, I don't know what we're expecting, a 30 to 45-minute episode, and this shit was 15 minutes. And me as an artist, I realized these filmmakers don't give a shit. They're telling their story in such a way, they're telling it segmented, but this segment only requires them 15 minutes. This segment requires them 40 minutes. This segment requires them 25. They did not give a shit about how they chopped it up. And that was the beauty of it. And that was the pre-COVID precipice of web series and storytelling and new normal, new media, for me anyway. And when it came to our web series, say, for example, Sinister Infinite, which is the Marvel crime show, some episodes are 10, some episodes are 15, some episodes are 10 and deal with two villains. So two villains are 5 minutes, and I just put them together in 10. And so who gives a shit? People are going to watch it or they're not. But it's 2020. It's 2019. It's 2020. It's 2021. With modern technology, there is no more of this. YouTube's going to put ads on it regardless. So, and I'm going to make money off that off the YouTube ads regardless. So it doesn't matter if I make it a 2.5 hour, an hour-long podcast episode, or if it's a 10-minute crime show episode, crime documentary, whatever the case. It's my creation. I'm not going to put a bunch of fluff and filler in it. It's going to be engaging. And if that's all I have is 10, 15 minutes, then that's fine. Because those different boundaries, those different broken boundaries happened way before me anyway. And it was like, listen, and it worked. So if what's so you're working on getting vaccinated. You've already been back on set. What's next on the agenda? What's the next set of plans? Next set of goals? It's 2021. I mean, COVID restrictions are being lifted. What's next on the plan for?
Well, I mean, it's exciting right now. I mean, the next 3 months, I'm thick in the remote work in my finance world. So helping others in that world, it's freaking amazing what we can do, you know. And then also in the marketing world, helping my clients that way. And then so that the last quarter of the year, I can focus on my film. So I'll be directing a film that I wrote, and I'll be producing a film that my partner wrote. So in December, we'll be shooting 2 films. My family's, my parents are coming out and helping with Sunshine. So we can be like, okay, hey, deep in production and not worry about the Sunshine. So
That's exciting. That's exciting. 2 films already, huh? Now I'm
yeah.
jealous.
Well, I mean, and one of the ways we can do that is through 1, crowdfunding, and then 2, sponsorship.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so we got our first sponsor for my film. And so now I have a team of producers who are literally helping to create stories that we can integrate into each film. I mean, the big movies do it and you don't even feel it. You're like, oh yeah, that's like, it's just common nature. But we don't realize that independent films can also do that.
Yeah.
Because it's influence. Mm-hmm. It's influence. So I know that my films have millions of dollars of influence worth of branding, out in the world.
Yeah.
That's one of my powers.
In Maryland, I had a sponsor with Red Bull, and I had a sponsor with Natty Bo, National Bohemian Beer. And we put them in every music video we shot from 2008 to 2011. We put Natty Bo and Red Bull and everything. And they would come out. And the beauty of it was they registered us as being our sponsor. And so maybe they said, because we sent them, links and copies of the final product of the 3-4 music videos that we did. And we had their product in there. Man, I had my buddy wore the shirt, the hat, was drinking the beer in the music video. Of course, it's hip hop. So, it's Baltimore-based hip hop music video. So they're drinking and rapping and da-da-da-da. And one of the music videos ended up on Spike for a Halloween night where they were just showing short films, and they showed our one music video because it was one of those, we kind of modeled that whole Michael Jackson's Thriller, where it was an actual 10-minute short with a 4-minute, 5-minute music video, right? But like a film opening and a film ending. So we kind of did that whole thing. And then that ended up on Spike. And how, like, maybe it was because of the sponsorship, but on the other end, you got a bunch of actors on there working for free. We got to feed them, but we're going to throw them beer. We're going to throw them Red Bull for free. That craft table is looking money with a whole bunch of Red Bull and a whole bunch of Natty Bo. But out of our pocket, it's nothing. And they're like, man, these guys got a set, and they're drinking a little bit, and they're having fun on set, and everything's still safe, of course, and professional, but it's a nice, relaxed, fun set. And it's things like that where you just get one sponsor and it really looks good. And those actors look at you like they had Natty Bo and Red Bull running their, on their set. And it's like, yeah, it wasn't that hard. But if you do like a couple hours of research and you start emailing somebody, You start emailing 10 people and one person emails you back and they're like, yeah, we'll jump on. Then that makes you look like some legit producers.
Yeah, I've had my MoMA screening premiere of my film sponsored at San Diego Comic-Con, sponsored. I literally had Pop Chips send me product. They weren't even paying me, but they were sending me chips for like almost every event I went on the film festival tour. And the film festival organizers were like, you have a chip sponsor? I'm like, yeah. They're like, you're the only filmmaker with a chip sponsor. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I'm like, I love Pop Chips. And I mean, it's just a phone call away.
Just a phone call away. And listen, and the free food. I mean, listen, I grew up not broke, but I grew up like pinching pennies.
Yeah.
So, free chips, because like they'll bring you a whole box of chips and you could make those chips last you a while.
Yeah, everybody who went to the screening, they got chips. Like, did
Yep.
they get that in the other films?
Nope.
No. So did that affect maybe their voting? Maybe.
And that'll affect a vote. You show up to the screening and you're sitting there munching on Natty Boh and chips. And then you're like, man, this is a good film. And like, it's really not. You're just drunk and you're eating really nice chips. But you're gonna vote that film. You're gonna vote that film to the whatever, to the first place. Yeah, absolutely. So I've discussed this a lot of times prior. It's, for me, the quarantine happened for me, obviously, I think happened for everybody, March 12th, 2020, around that time. And so for me, the new year was not really January 1st. The new year was a year after that quarantine. How have things progressed since being in quarantine for a year? And now it's June 1st. Is it too late now to be saying Happy New Year?
I feel like a new year, I mean, can start whenever you want it to start. So today for me is kind of a new year. It's June, we're here June 1st, and it's the beginning of the month. And I'm thinking about the next quarter of June, July, August, like my summer quarter of like, okay, I have a goal, I have a 90-day goal. I'm gonna freaking go for it. And then the next one, I'm going to focus on my film. So like things in quarters, because that's really kind of the horizon line. So many coaches say that's the horizon line of their goal. So you're like, okay, so if you focus on that one goal and not context switch, you're more likely to get that goal and say like, and not be distracted by all your projects. I have freaking ton of projects, and I love helping others. So it's like, it's kind of, hard for me to say like, no, but sometimes you do have to say no to certain things. You're like, okay, that's fine, but I'm not going to start that course. I want to start that course now, but you know what? I'm not going to start that course until September, but I'm going to get interest. Maybe I'll start, brainstorming or what the modules are going to be. That's great, but I'll put it in a folder, and in September, that's when I'll start like really developing it and starting it. But right now I have a different goal, focusing on that next 3 months.
Yeah. I mean, I've had some previous guests on here that think seasonal. They don't think yearly, they don't think biannually, they think seasonal, because obviously it's a natural thing for the human body to think, all right, it's winter, we're going to do this. And then it's spring, time to blossom and do this. And then summer, get real hot, gets real sweaty and do this. And then fall, kind of slow down and do this. And that has been kind of like what I do to an extent. There's like, knock out all this stuff, schedule this all out, knock it all out maybe in the winter. Because obviously snow, we're not driving anywhere. We're going to be hunkered down in blizzards and snow, whatever. So knock out a lot of post and get that released and scheduled for release, uploaded and scheduled for releases for the next year. And then comes winter, spring, time to reblossom, start shooting stuff. And then summer is time to party. And that's always kind of been like my mindset, is that whole seasonal, the whole quarter, the whole seasonal thing for me. But for as far as like the new year, what's the new you, the new year, new you, the new normal, new you? Like when you think of the last year and like what's new, because they talked about the new normal, not to mention the new year, but they've been like back, like what's the new normal going to be? And now that we've essentially come to that, what's the new normal, new you? What's the new you? What's the new normal you?
So the new normal me is, I mean, I don't know if how much it's different, but it's not compromising and just implementing, and then also delegating. Focusing and delegating. So like having my assistant like helping me, like I don't have to do every little thing, so what can I delegate? What monkey work
Yeah.
can I delegate? So I can get more of my sunshine time. Sometimes it's like, okay, hey, I want to do that swap meet, but how is sunshine gonna like that? You know what? All right, we're gonna have to get a nanny for that day, because that just it's worth it, even if it's worth it. If I intuitively feel like I should go, then let me book the nanny.
Yeah.
So just prioritizing her. For me, it's prioritizing her, and then also tapping into the intuition of just like, okay, if this is pulling me this way and I feel so strongly about it, what do I need to change to do it? And that's what one of the fears I had, it's just like, oh no, where are all my goals going to go when sunshine's here?
Absolutely.
And I'm like, oh, they're not going to go anywhere. She'll just be here, and then my goals will also be here, and we just keep going. And I feel like my goals have come a lot closer because she's here, because it's an attraction. Love is an attraction, right? People literally just come up to her, like they're so, I mean, who's not attracted to a baby, like
Right.
literally but I feel like just that love, just love in general. So when you have love for a baby, you're just like, and you're in love, you're like, things just come to you naturally. So when we love something, whatever it is, if it's an activity, if it's a person, if it's even yourself, like usually that's the main thing you need to focus on first, is loving yourself. Then things come faster.
Yeah. And to touch upon delegate, my experience in the military is there's a huge difference. They always would say delegate, delegate, delegate. There's a huge difference between delegate and passing the buck. But delegation, like true delegation and honest delegation, is important. You can't do everything, because as I worked my way up from team leader, a sergeant to a squad to a staff sergeant, working my way up to a squad leader, and working with a platoon sergeant who's a sergeant first class, and that person works with the platoon sergeant, works with the first sergeant who's a first sergeant, and it's like that one person deals with three, and then and one of those three deals with four, and one of those four deals with 2 to 3, and then those 2 to 3 deal with 2 to 3 each. And there has to be that, because if you're a platoon sergeant and you're going to handle everything, you're handling 40 people, and that's physically impossible to be micromanaging 40 freaking people. But you can micromanage 3 people. You can micromanage 4 people easily. You can micromanage 4 people easily. Send me your squad's issues, And then the squad leader says, send me your team's issues. And your team leader says to the soldiers, send me your issues. And then they get filtered, and then they get filtered, and they get filtered. But then but there's a huge difference between delegation and passing the buck. I had somebody years ago, all these soldiers were on the bus. The whole bus emptied out. And now I get up, and my leadership says to me, make sure everybody cleans off the bus. And I was like, you're saying this now? Everybody just got off the bus. And now you're telling me, so now I got to run off the bus and scream after everybody. Go make sure you go back on the bus and clean it off. Like, why didn't you say something 5 minutes ago? Oh, because I'm delegating it to you. No, you're passing the buck. You waited and you're passing the buck. And that's a big difference between delegation and passing the buck. But to touch upon what you're saying, like, yeah, you kind of have to pick your battles. You kind of have to pick what you care about. And there are times you have to turn work down. And we discussed that even before. You have to turn work down, and you have to know what to delegate. And there are a lot of things that you have to delegate. And yeah, but kind of touch upon that. What drives you? At the end of the day, what drives you?
I think, well, one thing, when I'm helping people, it's like, I feel like I've been so blessed in my life, and I've had so many amazing people, including my parents, just be so supportive, like, hey, go for your dreams. Even though they didn't quite understand it, that encouragement I'm like super encouraging to others. So that drives me, of just like pushing people towards their dream reality, whatever that is for them.
Yeah. I mean, getting a film accomplished and watching that film, but then like there's that film screening of the crew or that premiere, and then we all go out to a bar afterward, whether it's the wrap party and we saw a rough cut, or whether it's the wrap party after the premiere. Like, you remember that day when it rained and we could only get half our shots? How the hell did that scene come together? And it was hilarious. It's those things where, like, they always say it's the journey, not the destination. But I think in filmmaking, it's both, because you're able to see that destination and then remember that journey and be like, bro, we could not get one fucking take right, except for that one. But no, we couldn't get one take right. But somehow that editor and the director sat down and pieced it together, and it was kind of funny. But now looking back on it, the film was complete, and we got so much to talk about because of what we know behind the scenes. And there's that mix of both the journey and the destination. Is kind of like, that's what drives me. Or, military wise, it's like I've tried to help out Joes that needed to get promoted, and finally somebody gets promoted, and it's like, it took us so long to get to this point, and now we're here, and now we're going to have a blast. It's something like, it's both the destination and the journey.
Yeah.
For me, is that we're going to have fun with this journey, but what drives me is not only that great journey, but that destination. And kind of like, once we get there, we kind of look back upon it.
Yeah, because in between is growth.
Yeah.
And and also another saying that I always hear is progress equals happiness. So when you're making progress, you're like, wow. Literally, you were talking about your son and all of his progress that you got to watch this past year. That literally, the joy, of like, oh my gosh, wait a minute, I did something right.
Yeah.
I'm getting all this attention. I must be doing something right. But it feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. Now thinking back on it, like I can still remember all the microprogressions, but then I look a picture at him and I'm like, dude, this kid's like 5. He's not. He's only 1.5, but he looks like he's 5 out of freaking nowhere. You know, the kid's grown up. But then when you think about it, and you know, microprogression means maybe taking a picture every day. You're able to make a montage, especially with our art form. You make this montage, like, oh my God, the journey and the destination. And that's the beauty. I think that's the beauty of film. Because if I tap on this lens right here, that's implemented into the annals of history forever. You know,
Yeah.
shootouts, Jackie Chan scenes, you know, pro wrestling, people body slam each other, getting thrown through a window, uh, victories of, you know, nations over enemies or whatever the case. And all that is encapsulated on film and in the annals of history. And it's shown like you could alter literature, but you can't alter video. You can't alter that, you know, and all these things are put on film and TV and they're documented and it's out there to be seen, you know, CCTVs and security footage and documentary footage and found footage and all that stuff. And it's like it's there to show not only the journey but the destination. And I think that's the beauty of film, is that we get to enjoy both of those things. I mean, you know, athletes, I mean, still everything's filmed now, so it's just about every arena. But you know, before it would be, a lot of folks still don't do YouTube and selfie videos, and so like they don't remember, oh, I got a medal. They remember the broken legs and they remember the bullet wounds. They remember the scrapes and cuts and bruises. Oh, you remember when we were in the middle of training, man, and we were all busted up. Oh man, those were the days, because that award ceremony is only an hour and you get a quick award and you're like, I kind of remember that. But with most people nowadays, it's, you film everything, you document everything, and I think that's the beauty of it. Like everyone's like, oh, everyone's shooting everything, everyone's got their phones out. I'm like, they're documenting it. It's an art form. You got amateurs and professionals, but everybody's still being creative within that thing that you're able to both enjoy. You're able to enjoy in both the journey and the destination. I think that's really out, profound, especially nowadays. Anyway,
Absolutely.
yeah. Well, if there was one last point, one last bit of advice that you wanted, I guess, according to my analytics, it's mostly male, but it's mostly creatives. There are some females. It's mostly creatives, YouTubers, and filmmakers and arts. And you said, what was the phrase you used? Art collectives, art something,
It's inspiring others to live the art life.
art lives. Yes,
Yeah.
most of my viewers are like the art life creatives. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, one last point, one last bit of advice, one last point to make to them. What would that be?
I mean, for me is to focus more on the planning and what you want, and then going out and doing it. You know, because I've done a lot of spaghetti on the wall sort of things, and you're like, that's great, but in the end, I mean, you always have to experiment. But if you spent 80% on the feminine and then 20% on the masculine, the doing, the calling, the whatever needs to like get done, you know, sort of tasks, you'll get the masculine done a lot faster because you're not just doing all the time. You're focused.
Yeah.
And the feminine more like the dreaming, the letting it come to you, you know, the painting, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, now I know what I need to do for the next 3 months. Great. So then the masculine stuff comes easy. And it's just like, okay, second nature.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I would have to say my numbers are more 50-50 because at some point you got to pull the trigger. I got dudes that are still talking to me about music videos they've been talking about for 5-10 years. It's like, dude, it's a 4-minute song. It's a 4-minute song, so it means it's a 4-minute music video. What are you freaking talking to me about right now? We're still talking about this 10 years.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more, but it's more.
Well, yeah, that's where the fear. Don't let the fear get in the way of just do it.
Yeah.
Even if it freaking sucks, then you know what? Do it again. Because every time your sucks is gonna get better. The next time. So get through the mistakes.
Season 1 of Rose Gallery sucked. It's not even on YouTube. I took it off YouTube. Season 1 sucks. But season 2 is great. Season 3 is great. Season 4 is going to be great. But
Miss Sunshine wanted to say hello in this video.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, she wanted to say hi.
Oh, hello. Hello. Yeah. There she is. Yeah, man. I mean, that's the ultimate craft right there. That's the ultimate. But yeah, like you said, like you have to just do it. You have to just like pull the trigger and knock it out.
Yep.
So this will be a great outro. So any links, plugs, socials you want to put out there? Of course, Sunshine and all of her glory.
Yep.
All her glory.
You could follow Miss Sunshine on Instagram, Sunshine Flora Official. You can follow me on all the things, Alexia Anastasio. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, Alexia, I can't thank you enough for coming on, and you too, Sunshine. This was a blast. And yeah, to my viewers, you know what to do. I hope I've earned the privilege of your time and viewership. I know Alexia and Sunshine has. And until next time, check us out. To the viewers out there, if you want to become an honorary member of the Zombie Squad, send me some, hit me up on any of the socials. Send me the name that you want to be credited as a honorary member of Zombie Squad. Send me your favorite 1 or 2 profile pictures, avatars, what have you, your profile pictures on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and we can squad you up. I will make you an honorary member of the Zombie Squad, and I'll design all this stuff. I'll design a t-shirt, I'll design your logo, your whole Zombie Squad kind of profile if you want to be an honorary member of Zombie Squad, and give you the options to buy a t-shirt, to buy a phone case, to buy a pillow, to buy a tapestry, to buy a hoodie, to whatever the hell you want. But if you want to be an honorary member of the Zombie Squad, let me know. And
but they got to put in the work though.
All they have to do is send me 1 or 2 of their profile pics, and they'll be an honorary member of the Zombie Squad.